Hey everyone, okay, I know it has been well over a month since the last update. What's my excuse? Honestly, it's been the weirdest time, and I know that you guys have been feeling the same with this whole COVID situation, and it's just been strange because we've been in this weird state of limbo. Our move to the USA has now been even further complicated, possibly even stopped for this year, and I will come back to this. Okay, so first, quick update on the UK lockdown. In the last month, things have been easing, so restaurants started opening a couple of weeks ago, hairdressers are opening, more shops are available now, and it's just generally been easing. And last weekend I did make my first outing into London with my sister and kids. We went to a bottomless brunch at Flesh and Buns. I filmed this, so check out that video. Back to the move to Cali. At the beginning of June, we had the White and Company come and do the pack and load from our home. They done the move across 2 days and there were 4 men there. White and Company were contracted through a company called BTR International, and BTR International were actually the company that were responsible for our move in the UK. And it really did get a bit complicated because, one, they didn't tell us that they were contracting this other company to do the pack and load. There was a bit of miscommunication. On the first day, they thought they were leaving all the stuff there. They didn't have the address of the temporary accommodation. I mean, in the end, we got there. It was fine, we think. Our stuff went into storage and the right stuff came here into temporary accommodation. But it did involve me having to call BTR to check that things were going to the right place. White and Company themselves were really good, no complaints, really friendly. And on day one, they focused mainly on the belongings that were going into storage, and obviously not our bed because we needed a bed to sleep on. On day two, they then packed the belongings that were going into temporary. And it was a bit confusing because we had to essentially make sure that the right things were going into storage and the things that we needed to keep with us did stay with us and were going to the temporary location. For the most part, as far as we're aware, the things that we needed did stay with us. Tip, if you are ever doing a similar move, and probably you won't be because most moves you are just going to where you're going to, and this would have been a lot easier in terms of logistics if we were just doing the straight move to the USA. In ours, it was just complicated. But if you are doing a similar move, I highly recommend organising your things before they turn up, because it is a lot more confusing if you're trying to organise your stuff whilst they're there. I was very organised. My husband, on the other hand, really wasn't. So he was still deciding what was going where and when at the time. Just a note, if you are hearing odd noise like construction going on, that is because there is construction going on. So we're trying to film this whilst it's quiet, but we have various vehicles going past our window and it's literally just there. We seem to like living in building sites. The last 3 places we have lived have all been new build developments. On day 2 of the packing, we moved into the Airbnb. So White and Company had 2 vans. One van took the remaining belongings to storage, and another van came with us to our temporary accommodation. We booked a 2-bed flat in Ebbsfleet, and I have to admit, when I saw the number of things that we were keeping with us, and because we knew it was a bit longer than just a month, there were more things like a bike, our computer equipment for work, so there were quite a number of things with us. I was really concerned that this wasn't going to fit into the 2-bed, and because with Airbnb you see pictures but you don't really get a sense of how big the place is. So I was worried, but it was fine. We got here and actually it was quite a large 2-bed apartment, and it has a large storage cupboard as well, which has been very convenient to put a lot of our boxes in. That being said, we still have lots of boxes in this living room with us, which is fine. But yeah, no complaints. The place is really nice, great location for getting into London. The development's quite nice as well, other than the construction that we are literally living next to. But a nice place. The host has done it to a really good quality as well. Even scented toilet paper. Our tenant moved into our home a few days after we left, and in those last few days we organised a deep clean, final clearance of the house. So it was quite a busy few days after the pack and load and just making sure the house was ready for the tenant. I have to admit, both of us, it was quite sad leaving our home. We really liked that house in particular. It was the right size for us, and we'd set it up in a way that worked for us. I had a walk-in wardrobe, which was great, dedicated office. So yeah, I was quite sad to leave the place.
Yeah.
So I think it was on day 3 of the move, of clearing the house and everything and getting it ready for the tenant, we hired a van to take a sofa down to my sister's place. And there was a bit of drama there. So picked up the van, no issues there, got to my sister's, that was fine. As we were making the journey back to drop the van off, we broke down on the entrance to the M20, and by that time it's getting late in the evening, and we also had issues with reception on our phone, so we were struggling to call the breakdown. Eventually we did get through. We had a recovery vehicle turn up, and he said, well, I'm just taking you to a service station. Who's going to fix? And I said, well, at this point it was a bit confusing how everything was happening. And he then said, well, I'll take you to Maidstone services because I have to get you off the M20. But you're going to have to stay in the van whilst I tow you because of the COVID situation. You are not allowed in the main cab with him. Apparently it's safer to keep us in the van than in the main cab with him. It was definitely a very bumpy ride to the services, and I get really bad sickness, so I was a bit worried how bad I would feel by the time we got to the services, but it was fine. It was a fun, exciting ride to the services. Luckily for us, when we got there, AA was there. They had quoted, I think they originally said about 2 hours for AA to turn up. Oh yeah, there was something, they actually sent 2 AA men to us. That's a whole other thing. But AA tried to fix it, couldn't, and then essentially nursed us back to our place with AA behind us or in front of us, I can't remember. But eventually we just nursed the van back to home. In our last update, we mentioned that we had made an offer on a 3-bed apartment in Maidstone. That is still in the process of going through, and we hope to be moving in there in the next month. We have this Airbnb until mid-August, so we're really hoping that that is finalised and we move in there before this Airbnb booking is over. Otherwise, we will need to extend this Airbnb. The whole process of buying this apartment has taken a bit longer than we expected, mainly due to the mortgage valuation that has almost taken 2 months now. And that's really been the only hold up that we've had. Just to give you an idea, when we switched mortgages for our other home, that valuation only took 2 weeks to complete. So yeah, not a great experience. To be honest, we don't often have luck with going through our mortgages. Right, now this is the major part of the news. On June 22nd, there was an announcement from the White House, President Trump. But what I'm going to say is you're going to have to watch the next part to hear about this news and how this has affected our move to the USA.